Hello and welcome back to the video series of finite element analysis. I am Bhavik Soneji and today I am going to talk about ISO, super and subparametric elements. So let's get started. So in the previous video, you have seen the serempidity method and Lagrange method for derivation of the shape function. Now, how the parametric element is different from normal element, let's understand. So as you can see on your screens, uh, we have a complex geometry like this, and these are the meshing, different ways of meshing. Here in the first figure, this is my geometry, original geometry. Here you can see this geometry has a curvature boundary. Now if we are meshing this, or if we are discretizing this geometry into smaller elements like this, so this is my triangular element which is having 1 2 3 4 5 6 nodes. So 6 nodal triangular element. So here you can see, uh, from original it differs like this. So we are not getting the accurate answer if we are utilizing uh, this method, or we are having two combination, triangular element as well as rectangular element. So in this first figure, in first meshing, uh, the number of elements are lesser, but the size is bigger. While in the second option, you as you can see, the different kind of element is used, which is having larger number of uh, nodes, and the size is also bigger. So now you can understand that if we are choosing the second option, in the second option we are getting the good result or accurate result, because here you can see the boundaries are meshed properly, and here in the first method we are eliminating the boundary, a curved boundary. So for a real life application where the geometry is having some curvature, we cannot, or if we use simpler elements, we will not get the accurate answer. So to overcome this problem, what we do is, instead of simple element, we are going for the higher parametric element. So the better functional represent we can get by uh, choosing the parametric element. So here in this figure also you can see the normal simpler elements can be replaced by the complex element. Now as the complexity increase, we have to go for the natural coordinate system, and we have to uh, give the relation between natural coordinate and local coordinate system for single element, which we have seen in the previous lectures. So the orthogonal coordinates, whose magnitudes orthogonal coordinates is nothing but the psi, which is varies from -1 to +1, and instead of simple xy coordinates, we are replacing it by natural coordinate system. So this conversion we can have in the parametric element. So the shape functions are then in defined with natural coordinates, with which links displacement at any point in the element to the nodal displacement. So now the fundamental is clear that why we use the parametric element to eliminate the effect of the curvature. For example, this is my real shape. Here you can see the actual shape is like this. So here intermediate nodes, three nodes are uh, represented properly, total 6 nodes, and among that 6 node, 3 nodes are properly placed, but 3 nodes are having some error, like let me show it by other. So this much error we are getting. So to eliminate this kind of error, we are mapping it by parametric uh, system or parametric element. Now to do, we have to do that thing, we have three types of elements in a parametric element, three categories. So let's understand what are the categories. For example, I have a geometry like diamond shape geometry I have. Now this diamond shape geometry can be represented like this. Now I am indicating it by number of nodes. For example, it is having 8 nodes. So geometric nodes, I am representing it by circle, dark circle. So here we have total 8 nodes. So here in isoparametric, the number of nodes defining the geometry is 8. And now we are representing the displacement, which I am representing it by a red cross. So this is the displacement node, which I am representing by cross. So if we are representing a element which is having same number of nodes of defining geometry and same number of displacement nodes like this, starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here the displacement node is also 8. So by this manner we can define, and then it is known as isoparametric element. Now for superparametric element, the number of nodes I am representing, for example, in same manner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now we have geometry. Geometry node is 8 and we are representing the displacement node by cross. So if we are representing the node or displacement which is smaller, the number of nodes are lesser than the geometric node, then it is known as super parametric element. So here you can see the geometrical nodes are 8 and the displacement nodes are 4. Now for a subparametric, we are defining the geometry by only 4 nodes. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. But for defining the displacement, we are defining it by 8 nodes. So here the number of nodes for defining geometry are lesser than the displacement. So that's why it is known as subparametric element. So now it is clear that we can utilize the different types of element according to our application, which is uh, properly defined. Now when to use this kind of element? So when there are normal conditions where the geometry is also simple and the stress gradient is normal, then we can use this method or isoparametric element. Then if we have simple geometry but high stress gradient, then we can opt for subparametric element. And if we have complex geometry but less gradient of stress, then we can use the superparametric element. So this is how we can use the parametric element in FEA. Hope you understood it well. Thank you for your time.